Welcome back, Nikisha. How are you doing? So I was on recently and I had to come off making some adjustments to our mic setup. Yeah, I figured that you would. I hope it's clear. So we're just making some changes to see how best we can have the best lighting and the best song with as much clarity as possible. So we apologize for that. I have a team that is working with me where we tried about 5 different type of mic setup. You know, we have those that you see like I had already lapel, then we have these that comes with the boom, and so we just made about 3 different changes. So we know it should be working now. I'm sure you all can hear me. Otherwise someone would have said that you can't. I'll just give some other people about 30 seconds to come on and we get right into it. Forgive me. I have some dust trying to kill me. It means I need to clean out my home. Danica, how you doing? Shalana. Alright, so this topic, I usually post some stuff on social media whenever I'm going to do a topic, just to see how people respond to it. Dwight, my brethren. And I think yesterday I posted an item with Kurt Franklin where he was looking at spiritual ties and what actually happens in relationships. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and I promised her very early on in the video that I was going to answer 2 questions that she had, but I want to lay some ground information first. We always look at the yin and yang, and we always discuss, always in all my videos, that both genders aren't the same. So we have the yin and yang, and we have 2 different types of energy between 2 different genders. And the lack of gender intelligence is what causes the problem overall. We must always remember, no matter what you believe in, that we are spiritual beings in a human body and not the next way around. And have you ever gone to somewhere and you meet someone and you don't even really know why, but you just don't think your blood takes them? And you say it. Okay, Josephine, welcome. And so you say it that my blood really don't take that person, boy. But what is key is that I've never really heard someone who said that, analyze, and maybe I'm the problem. So what tends to actually happen in a scenario like that is when you meet someone that you don't know and you really don't like that person for some reason or the other, it's either one of 2 things. Either where your center is in peace, their center is in chaos, or your center is chaotic and they are in peace, and so you will never really like them because you know that your chaos will never encroach on who they are as an individual. Your vibrations can tell you that off of that other person as well. It's never always only the other party. And for some reason, we tend to think it's always the other party, but it's never only always the other party. And this same now assessment goes into relationships with people where when a relationship ends, you tend to hear a lot of times as if it's due to one gender. What did you do? Did you cheat, etc.? It's not always on one. In fact, scientific research points that because women are generally the ones who are more argumentative, and because women are the ones that complain 7 times more than men, but are actually 10 times more annoying, But men generally don't highlight that. And so what I do is I tell men, call it out. I can't explain to you how many people and friends or followers I've lost because of that, who have messaged me quietly behind the scene, not expecting that I am the individual that I am. They view that I'm a guy that they can troll. But the thing is that in every relationship, even if it's not a relationship, one that is built on a life partnership, but just friendship, in most cases, you will have a yin and a yang, even to some small degree. Or another way to put it is that you would have chaos and order. And both chaos and order comes from two different gender. So for example, feminine energy is one that is based on chaos, and the masculine energy is one that is based on order. Now, it's going to be a hard pill for a lot of women to swallow because it can feel like it's an attack, but it's not. That's just the way it is. It's two different type of energy. And how do you know that? Have you ever heard a man tell a woman, be a woman, keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, do that. It's what women are made of. Have you ever heard men say that to women? And if you have, how often have you heard that? But what you tend to hear is both men and women can tell another man that, keep your word. My word is my bond. It's all I have. It's the principle. And so what you get right away is you get order. When you look at in a relationship, for example, and you see that research shows that women are actually the ones that are more annoying because they do more stuff. Again, it's feminine energy. And so us men, we see it as being cute. We laugh at it because we see it as being feminine, and sometimes it can even come across as being sexy. But if conversely, you see that women generally would shoot down a man who makes a simple error. It makes him look weak as far as most women are concerned. Some women actually find it cute. Some women actually it doesn't bother them. But generally, when you're talking about the 90 percentile, women find that men can do some light things that are very annoying to them. And so that's where the thing is. So when you look at yin and yang and you look at chaos and order, another way to look at it is that you will see in both genders, when you look at chaos and you look at order, you will find that men can easily live and be in a relationship that is peaceful, no drama, no antics, come home every day and literally almost do the very same thing and be at peace. If you put a woman in that scenario where everything is just too perfect, too normal, and she's not able to be surprised. In other words, she knows you're going to come home, you're going to take off your shirt first, then your pants, and then you're going to sit down on the couch and you're going to have something to eat, and then you're going to read the paper. If she knows that this is what you do every single day, it's going to be annoying to her because she exists in chaos. This is why so many women actually gossip. And I'm going somewhere with this because what I'm doing is laying the foundation so you can see from a spiritual standpoint where both genders actually differ. Now the thing is, when you look at soulmates, I want to say it very early and unequivocally, there is no such thing as a soulmate. It's what this world has given us based on lack of understanding. When you are an individual who are mainly 2 or 4 personality traits, let's say for example you are phlegmatic and sanguine, and you come and you meet someone who is melancholic and phlegmatic, or melancholic and sanguine, or sanguine and melancholic. The point is, what actually happens is, you meet someone who is able to balance off your personality. Listen to what I'm saying, because it's going to come back and we're going to have this discussion from another dimension later on. So you meet someone that is able to balance what you don't have. All right? And because what you don't have, you get it from that other party. It raises oxytocin levels in your bloodstream and dopamine levels in your bloodstream, and so you get a bond. And what is actually happening inside of you is that it's been etched inside of who you are, in your memory bank, in your brainstem. And so your command center, your brain, is taking data based on how you feel, and it's going into your long-term memory. So what gets men to remember an individual or a scenario? We generally have photostatic memory. So as I said last time, we can literally be in the middle of a church prayer service, and we can remember some scene that we have sexually, or some porn or something in the middle of a most holy spiritual time when we are really not thinking about it at all. But conversely, when you look at a woman, for example, she doesn't generally remember based on a memory of an image. She remembers something or someone on the basis of a scent, a smell, a touch, an image. Something like that is what's going to stimulate her to remember. All right, so we can see a highly attractive woman and she's never going to leave our minds. A woman can see a highly attractive man, but she will not remember him just because it's the middle of the day at 12 o'clock and she remembers him. He has to do something or leave something. It could even be a simple handkerchief. That is what's going to remind her about that guy and how that guy carried himself. You know? So that's why, for example, for both genders, for men, a man can want to build a house for a woman and marry her immediately. A woman will take about 3 months to fall in love. It happens earlier, of course, but generally, for a woman to really fall in love with you or be in love with you, she has to take time for you to build on her. So when you're looking at soulmates, there is no such thing as soulmate. What actually happens is you are able to, based on the other person's love language as well, if you are an alpha, if he's an alpha, and she's an alpha, but she's able to submit to him, he doesn't see that she's an alpha. She can be an alpha to somebody else, everybody else. But to him, she is not an alpha. She may be an alpha female, but not to him. So she submits to him. And so that is another yin and yang. Once energies are complementary, all right? Now, you can have someone who does not have what you have, and it can be a problem. So you can meet two people, for example, who likes to talk. But it also means that both of their love language is not based on acknowledgement, something that is said that is nice to them. It may be other things. It may be touch. You know, it may be time being spent. So we have to always be mindful that even though you may see some characteristics of two people looking the same, it's their personality and personality traits that actually creates that bond. So when you talk about soul ties, it's simply so when you talk about soul ties, it's simply a scenario of where you get two people who are complementary to each other, and so it just works. All right, that's basically as it. So if, for example, you want to see a clear example, because I'm going to discuss this now, that when we're talking about chaos and we're talking about order being feminine and masculine energy, if a man, for example, is demonstrating an energy of chaos, then he's in his feminine energy. He will generally don't be respected by men. You will find that there's a lot of scenarios and situations that are always going to be annoying. Is going to bring chaos into a scenario where people are actually focused and calm. And they will always be sort of like a devil's advocate, someone who always just tries to find a scenario where they can create disharmony as a man. That's what men do when they're in their feminine. So like the guy who's like Ken Royd, for example, who just indicated alpha underline taking a vaccine. That's a big adult man who came onto this live and is trying to troll me while I'm speaking because I have to read what you guys are saying. So this is a clear example of a man who's an adult male that is actually in his feminine. So when you talk about order and chaos, for example, that is what a man does who's in his feminine. Now, if a woman, for example, who is in her masculine you would find that she almost never argues. She's just very firm, say something once, no set of antics. She almost comes around across unemotional. So that's when a woman is in a masculine. All right, because it's generally men expect a woman to cry or want hugs and stuff like that because that's a woman who is really in a feminine, because those things actually is what raises her estrogen levels and also her oxytocin levels. It makes her feel good. So women actually seek out those things, right? So that those are the two energies from both genders. And you can clearly see now when a man is in his feminine, what he does. Thank you, Kenroy, for what you said there. It clearly indicates, because look at Karen, for example. You see Karen's face, you know? So it tells you how she felt about what he did. And that's how you know. You understand? So going forward, when you look at soulmates, as I said, there is no such thing for soulmates. As such as soulmates, you understand? There is no such thing as soulmates. It's simply two people, because there are many people who think that they have met their soulmates, got married, and they are divorced now. There are a lot of married couples as well who a man chose someone to marry, but he simply did not marry the person who he's actually closer to, who we term as soulmates, who he actually complements him better, because that's not what he was seeking for as a wife. So there are actually couples out there right now who are married, and when they go out and the husband sees the woman interact with another guy, or the wife sees the husband operate with another woman that she knew before they met as well, she or he can't help but feel a particular way, right? Now, when we're talking about spiritual change, and this is why I told a friend of mine that we're going to have this discussion, and I'm going to answer questions very early. Spiritual change, what she asked me based on the video I posted this week was, how does a man cleanse his way? Or how does a man cleanse the fact that he have been with many women, and he have had a lot of spirits around him, and from different women, and what tends to happen is that they have given different pieces of energy to him. And what does a woman do who have been with that man? So the first thing is, a woman must try to avoid being with such man. But the problem is that men generally aren't the one that holds issues. We are not retainers. Women are. All right? So women are the ones who receive and hoard. Men can receive but actually shut out. You see? Women, so it's just like we give sperm, and women get sperm and keep it and nurture it, and out comes something. So whenever a man gives a woman something, whatever he gets in return from that woman is always multiplied. Be it good or bad, it's always going to be multiplied, because that is the part of the feminine energy of chaos that I was just talking about. It's like an explosion. All right? So if a man has been with many people and he needs to cleanse his ways, he has to disconnect. And a lot of times what tends to happen is he simply has to allow his testosterone to be replenished, and he has to abstain from sexual intercourse for a period, and then he has to also prayerfully and take a spiritual journey. In other words, a nature walk, and he needs to do some soul searching to find himself. A man simply does that by doing nothing. He just needs to stop And he's going to find himself in most situations. That's why you see a lot of men have gone to prison, and when they have left prison and they come back out in the streets, you've seen them become doctors and lawyers and cooks and stuff like that, because in prison you get time. Of course, there are a lot of men that don't, but that stems from a whole lot of other issues. All right? Now, when we're talking about a woman here, for example, now, this woman now, she has to purge herself. She has to now stay away from men. She has to also check herself internally and see what baggage she's carrying, what scars she's carrying that she have not let go of. Because when you meet most women who are over the age of 25, most of them actually need to be seen by a therapist. All right? Most of them actually want therapy because they go through stuff in relationships that they have not let go of. Let me give you guys an example. All right? Let me give you guys an example. I was going to do this topic tonight, and I knew it. And what I always try to do is, I always try to find in my own self, because when I speak, a lot of times in these videos, I actually speak to myself. And so when I was going to do this video, I wanted to make sure that I came to you authentic, and I came to you pure. And in order to do that, I had to check myself and analyze myself and ensure that I was doing the things that I knew that had to be done. So at about 1:30 this morning, I evaluated myself to find out if there was anything I was holding on to allow me to foster spiritual change. And I said to myself, the relationships that I've had, am I healed from them? And I started to go through every serious relationship I've had with someone. And I realized that I actually had no ties to them. And so what I did is, as a test to myself, I said, okay, if this is true, when relationships end, we spend so much time bringing down the other party. Why don't you build them up? The only how you can really, really know if you're over someone is not just to talk to them if you see them. People can put on a facade. If you can tell that person, because again, this is actual research in university, any one of you can, who don't find it on Google, if you Google it yourself, you can ask me and I will direct you to where the actual research comes from that shows that women tend to hold on in great part to the negative of relationships over the positive of relationships. So in other words, it's like a 10 to 1. A guy can do 10 things, he did 1 wrong, she's holding on to that 1 wrong as if the 1 wrong is 20. All right, so it's a mental thing again, because they disconnect from the emotional centers mentally. They tend to hold on because, again, through hormones and being under stress, to the negatives. So it's always easier for a man. So what I did is I sent messages to every single person. Some of them I didn't have the contact, so I went into emails and stuff like that. I got up and I went and do this, and I said to them all, I said, I want to thank you for the relationship that we had. There were great times and there were a few bad times, but nonetheless, I could not have been the individual that I am today had I not dated you. And so I want to honor you this morning by saying to you, thank you. You have impacted my life positively, and I will never forget you. I wish you all the best, and I hope that success, great success, comes your way. Take care. I send that to every one of the 6 people I had serious relationships with. And so I woke up this morning, and actually my first girlfriend, who told me about 3 months ago that I want to be honest and admit that I always think about you and I never stop thinking about you. And I said to her, likewise, because when you do have that connection with someone, this is why I said in my last video on Wednesday that you cannot ever get over an ex that you always spend your lifetime with. You can cope with it. And we both acknowledge that, but we also acknowledge and we know that we will never get back in a relationship again. And so she was the first person to respond, and she was like, oh, thank you very much, Rennie. Thank you, sweetheart. I wish you the very same too. We talk soon, keep good. That was her response. Automatically, I knew that this person was over me. Notice she admitted that she never stopped thinking about me some months ago. And likewise, but understand that if the only how she can send a response like that is because she has simply gotten over and she is matured enough to acknowledge. All right? She is the only person who responded like that. The second person who I actually wanted to spend my life with, she also responded. Not as warm as the first one, but she responded very fairly. And I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that it's because it's a bit fresher. It's just about, 3-4 years ago. Opposed to, maybe 13 years ago, 14 years ago. I'm saying that on that basis is why the both responses were different. But 4 out of 6, in other words, there are 4 of them who did not even respond. And I realized I was blocked by 1, so that even makes it even worse. I was blocked on WhatsApp by 1. So you understand, if I feel that way and reached out and said something that nice to you, right? If I said something that nice to you, there's absolutely no reason for you to be annoyed or upset to anything because I reached out and I said, I'm thanking you for being in my life and the changes I've experienced and the man I am today and stuff. And for you not to respond, it means that you're holding on to something still. Right? And this is 4 people. So if you're holding on to the fact that you can't respond to me, out of those 4, I'm sure, I could be mistaken, at least 2 of them are now in different relationships. I think 1 is actually married. So if you can't acknowledge and say thank you, I appreciate your words, something just, that could have been a response alone. If after 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, 5 years, you can't bring yourself to just simply responding and acknowledging that this guy reached out, he had the fortitude to reach out and say, hey, this is the story. I want to honor you by thanking you for being in my life, etc., etc. And you can't, after all these years, even give a response of a thumbs up. It means that you are now in another relationship with a man, still carrying the baggage of this relationship, and you know that there's a probability that you're carrying at least 1 more scenario similar to that. I doubt I'm the only person that they have an issue with like that. The only man. So you're in a relationship, 2 of them at least. And I know one of them is not able to get into another relationship because she hasn't gotten over the fact of the breakup up to now. So you're not able to go forward. You can't go backward because you're still taking it on. Do you see how spiritual chains can actually be based on us and absolutely not based on anything else someone outside of us is doing? So imagine you're in a relationship in one story and you're carrying baggage of at least 2 to 5 other relationships in the past. You are married or you are not able to get another relationship. And so what happens is that you're in bondage. Is the purpose of reaching out to get closure and be a little more, explain a little more based on the question, Karen. That can't be the question alone. I need to understand if you're talking of because of me reaching out to them or they reaching out to me. So help me out. Let me be able to answer your question properly. So I was having a conversation with a friend today and I explained that to her. And her response one time was, they will not respond because to a woman, such a statement from a man means that he's over you. And I found that was so profound and it was so amazing because while I think I knew it, I did not actually really zone into it and think about it. So my question now is then, if a man reaches out to you like that and he says X or Y, like I did, don't you want to also move on? Because if he's saying, if that means that he has moved on, what is it that you want or hoped for then? That he didn't move on? Karen, one of the things I want you to remember, always remember, both genders are not the same. So whenever you're thinking about relationships that we talk about most times, pull yourself out of being a female and try to sit down in the middle. So that question there, the reason it's asked is because it's a feminine thing. If a man wants closure, he's in his feminine. Think about it very carefully. You would never see an alpha male wanting to talk to a woman he broke up with because he wants closure. So closure is not a masculine thing. Men don't reach out for closure. If a man and a woman ends a relationship and he reaches out, he either wants the relationship back or he wants sex. Men don't reach out for closure. Women are the ones that want closure. So exactly what we are talking about here right now is that women are, these women need closure but don't want closure. That's why they didn't respond. Look how many years have gone by and you are not responding. It means you don't want the door to be open back, but you don't want to close it either. So remember I was talking about chaos. Alright? Most times women need to exist within some degree of chaos. Okay? That's why you don't hear men say in relationships that it's complicated. That's a woman's statement. It's a female statement. What's going on? It's complicated. You don't hear men say, it's complicated. Are you saying you have someone that's complicated? You don't hear men saying that. That's a feminine thing. So chaos, chaotic situations, hold on, drama, issues, those things are feminine. And so what I'm talking about here tonight is when we talk about soulmates and spiritual changes, that soulmates are different from spiritual change. Soul and spirit are not the same. Alright? So souls don't have a gender. Our souls don't have genders. So they aren't ever going to be mates. Alright? You can actually feel and meet somebody and have a great energy with the other person. You can, but it doesn't mean that's a sexual thing. What happens though, and I know most of you will agree because you've experienced this, is that we meet someone who we like and they really compliment us, but it was never really supposed to happen from a physical, sexual point of view. You were not supposed to get in a relationship with the person, but you did. After it broke up, then you can see that this person came into your life for another reason. It wasn't sex. But you thought because you were female and he's male, or he's male and she's female, you thought it was about sex, but it really wasn't. These things actually happen, guys. So when you understand the difference between soulmates, people's energy can correspond, they can complement each other, or they can reject each other. All right? So that's what happened in that soul's point of view. We use the term alpha female. All right? But there is no such thing really and truly as an alpha female. But we use the term alpha female to give some credence to a positioning of a female, a woman. All right? You have to remember what an alpha is. There's alpha, omega, and beta. All right? So you have to remember what an alpha is. An alpha is a leader. So if you were to remove the human being from the picture, and we're talking about animals, for example, in the Lion Kingdom, is there an alpha female? You see, only the males are actually going to be the alphas. Same thing with bears, chimpanzees, whatever it is. You don't get an alpha female. You get an alpha male. He leads. Leading is not a feminine trait. This is why women who love to lead generally marry men who are not leaders and then be frustrated for the rest of their lives. We all know them. We all know scenarios like that with powerful women, dominant women, and men who aren't assertive, and their relationships are under stress or they divorce because she gets annoyed after time because no woman really wants to lead. Why would a woman want to lead? Listen, guys, most men don't want to lead, but that's what being a man is. And so this is why women are the ones who say they don't want scrubs, because it's a masculine thing for men to be on his purpose, be successful, and lead. It's not a feminine thing. Why would a woman want to do that? Most men don't want to even lead, but we have to. So we have to fight for positioning. So the answer is no. There is no real such thing as an alpha female. But in the context of being human and we have language, we use it to indicate dominance over. But dominance is not a feminine thing. Men are the ones who have conquered different worlds, different countries and continents. Men are the ones who have fought wars generally and have killed and has taken over lands. All right, that's dominance. Men don't care about anything else but competing and winning. We don't want a fair scenario either. We don't want 50-50. You don't hear men generally saying, I want a 50-50 relationship. It's women who say that they want that. Why would you want that as a woman? Men don't generally want that. So, I hope you get it. I hope you understand. But the world that we live in is what is causing this problem. And the point I'm making is that soul change is not something we don't look at holistically. We tend to see it as being only a scenario of huge bondage. But if you look around, you can see so many things that we allow. I had to cut off members of my family because there was spiritual change. You just have to do certain things because, let me give you an example of spiritual change. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and she was telling me that her daughter wasn't well, and so in her daughter not being well, she was saying that her daughter had the same thing that she had. This is what the doctor say. That's a scenario right there of spiritual change. You see? So, the night simplicity. So, it's a scenario of you must, if your body type is this, if your body type is this, and hers is the same, and you are putting that into your system or around your system that is not agreeing with your system, because that's what she or he sees, that's what they're going to put in their system. And so for generations, it's going to come right down the line. And I'm just using food in this case. It could be anything. It could be lack of exercise. It could be lack of reading. It could be lack of college. I may be a victim of my circumstance. And in most cases, Karen, if you can start off where you are by saying that, it means that you are on your path to doing great things. Because for you to be able to acknowledge that, it means that you are now thinking independent, you're pulling yourself out. You see, the problem is, we generally know other people better than we know ourselves. We can literally tell what is going to get Rennie angry and what is not going to get him angry. Generally, we study other people more than we study ourselves. And this is why it's so important that this famous quote, know thyself, is the most important of all I've ever come across. Because if you don't know who you are in yourself, then it means, therefore, then you don't know what you need. And if you don't know what you need, you don't know what you don't need. And that is where the problem comes in. So a lot of us actually, let me give you another example. When you talk about spiritual, let's look at a relationship, right? How many people do you know that their mother married, divorced, had kids outside marriage, never got back into a relationship, or never married? And they decided that they didn't want that life. Mother grew up single parent. And they do the same thing over and over. Let me give you spiritual chains. Because we don't look at these things as spiritual chains. As long as you're acting outside of your natural habitat or natural self, you are actually falling within that trap. Let me give you another example. You are a child of a single mother. Your mother grew up bitter and upset, and you never really knew why, because most times, if you're a girl and you're growing up with a mother who is alone, no man, she's going to bad talk you, your father with you, or say negative things, or say things about men generally. You don't need a man. You can do this or whatever. You now grew up being an alpha female, according to what you just said, and you grew up in this world, and you're going on the working, and you're challenging. Your voice changed. Your voice is deeper than most women's voice already, because you're in your masculine. So testosterone does that. More testosterone than. And now your mother has put her on you because you have a thing against man. So you now come and you say, you stand up for yourself and you challenge men. You must get the last word. That spiritual change happened there, because what happens with you now, a lot of times these women actually have one child. No man stays with that type of woman. And the cycle continues. Or you're a boy and you grow up with your single mother. You're more feminine than you are masculine. You don't know that. Your attitude and your personality traits aren't masculine. And alpha. And so now you grow up and you now are an adult. And you become a yes man. And everything this woman says you will do. And then you realize she doesn't want you anymore. And you have kids with her. Your kids are now seeing that that's how your father is. It continues in a cycle, because very rarely, I'm one of them and I thank God for that. Very rarely people can grow up in circumstances that is designed to actually suppress them and keep them back and hold them back, or have them be failures or not be masculine or a host of other things. And they take it upon themselves to make a change. There's a statement, show me a great man who's the son of a great man. And that statement means basically that there are very few people who have been able to become absolutely great without having to go through stuff and finding themselves. I am who I am today because of stuff I have go through. Guys, in doing what I did last night by going to tell the women who I've been with thank you for being in my life, and only highlight the positive aspects of them being in my life. I have seen some emails that I have written in the year of 2006, 7, and 8, and I was sad. I was sad. You understand? Yeah, Karen, I didn't mean it was you, pussy. But I was sad because when I look at the kind of man that I was destructive to women. I was a destroyer of women. And so do I hold it against every one of the girls that didn't answer me? No. I don't know if I would have answered me if I came and I said that as well. Yeah, that's what generational curses are. The generational curses are spiritual chains. Because we are spiritual beings, so it transcends. It's even our DNA code. Look at slavery, for example. Look at what happened since slavery with us. We have not gotten over it up to now. Up to now, we are still following a trend. And we think we are. I've seen many women who are going up and talking about black this and black that, but they're wearing wigs of straight hair, or their hair is weave. But they think that they're actually talking about black women and know about black excellence and stuff like that, but they don't, because you still have not been able to identify with who you really are from your hair, starting there. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. That's generational curses. That's how you get spiritual chains. How do you break it? You have to firstly know who you are. And this is why I tell women as well, especially when you go to date a man, you must ask that man every question. And it must come from his great-grandparents, if you can, come down to him and what he wants as children and how he's going to rear them. Because you need to know that, and there you need to see what was behind and where this man is going. Otherwise, it's very easy for you to now fall into a trap of a generational curse, because if his father damaged women and his father damaged women, and he's now with you, and he and his father have a relationship, then he's coming now to damage you as a woman. And if you have a child, girl child, male or female, and if he's damaging you as a woman, if you have one child, let's just use one, then the probability of that child being damaged is it's very high. These are generational curses and spiritual chains that people don't look at, and happens every single day in front of us, because we go into a relationship thinking that someone and us have complement each other. And that time, this person is just filling a void because there is loneliness or something that we didn't have from a father or mother, which is another generational curse or chain, spiritual chain. We're trying to fill a void of something that we didn't get when we were younger, and it's continuing in cycles. So we can sit down here all night and look at these things and break them down. But until we go and spend time really on analyzing who we were, where we are and where we are going, and what we want, what we want in a relationship, what we want for ourselves, where we want to carry it, and how we're going to get there with whom, you'll never be able to break those spiritual chains. And as women, when men come in your life and they destroy who you are, your foundation and your core, it's very difficult for you to get back on your feet. I'm going to do a video over this weekend with a woman who I saw spoke. And when I saw her spoke, I would admit to you guys, I thought that she was talking from a point of view of hypergamy. And I was like, here we go again. But this woman said some words, which was in her last sentence. And I'm going to play out the video and then start to speak. It's a joint video I'm going to do this weekend. And she said, I'm a tough queen, and therefore I will hold him at ransom to being a tough king. I don't want 50-50 and equal partnership, but I know where a queen is supposed to fall and be and act. And I will hold him accountable. And if I find him to be lapsing, I'm cutting him off. My paws rose when I heard her say that. Because I knew then and there she knew what she was talking about. She understood the value of being a man and a king and a leader and what he goes through. And all she's saying is, be everything that you need to be as a leader, because I know who I am. I'm not carrying any baggage. And the minute I feel that you are coming to give me baggage, to put me in any degree of bondage, I am going to cut you off, because I'm not going to bring that on me. That was most profound. And most women don't have a value system outside of sex. There's nothing they can offer outside of their body. You can see it on Instagram right now. One of the easiest things you can get a woman to do is give you her Instagram account, because she wants her account to have as much followers as it can, because that's what gives her status. And I've always told men, one of two ways to find out if a woman is the type of woman that he wants to spend her life with. See if she's running down people to follow on Instagram by her actions, or Facebook. You can know very easily if a woman is in bondage or if she's not. Yes, I believe, however, if you know better, you do better. That's the only way. But the point is, as I posted sometime this week, most people don't know what they don't know. So, I mean, I've been in gyms this week and I've been telling people stuff. I'm training for 24 years now. I don't look it. A person would expect it, but I am. So when I'm training for 24 years and I tell you something, shut your mouth and just do what I tell you. Because I have not met an instructor in a gym who can train me, because most or all of those guys in theory weren't training in gyms when I started to train. They weren't even into fitness. Probably some of them wasn't even born. And so when I'm telling them something, they can't do it. Even women. Thanks, my dear. Even women. And so you have to really know and understand yourself. You must spend time knowing where you are, what you lack and what you fall short in. If you can't take criticism, there is a reason for that. That's also a curse. You need to fix that, because the only way you're going to get better is you need the criticism from somebody. You need a man to tell you you're overweight. If you are insecure about something, it's because somebody have given you insecurity. You weren't born with insecurity. And let me give you guys a fact before I close. Most people, when they were born, they would, at the age of 2 or 3, they would take a cockroach and they will put it in their mouth and they will eat it and chew it as a toddler. Why is it that a woman now grows up to be 25 and 30 and she feels like she wants to die by seeing a cockroach fly in the room? Why? Because you have been cultured. Those are also chains and curses that you have to get out of and get yourself to wake up and say, hey, something is wrong here. How could something so small make you feel like you want to die? And how are you growing? I see people every day do the same thing, act the same way, do nothing different. I can almost tell you how people are going to live and die in most cases. It might sound as weird as you are. Have you not seen that some people who have a similar look like other people behave and act the same way? Have you not seen a guy who has a disposition of another guy, or a woman who has the same type of personality? Let's just use Spanish, with a short torso and the hair always in one. Face looks similar, but they are not the same people. Do you not see that their behaviors look and act the same? Do you not see people who are challenged with Down syndrome have a similar look in their face base, and you can go in deeper by looking at different degrees or levels of strain that they may have in it, and the actions go deeper based on how much more they look alike. That's spiritual. That's not something that is just by some doctors telling you this is a DNA code and this is a DNA. This is a DNA and messed up, whatever. They look, just look at women or look at men. If you see a guy that looks like me, I tell you, kid you not, he has a personality similar to me. You're not going to see him being effeminate, and his voice is not going to be high. He's going to be a guy who's no nonsense. You understand? I met a partner in the gym recently, and I met his girlfriend this week, and her girlfriend is saying, how is it that you guys, you all are saying the same thing? I'm hearing him and you. And that's why I met him. The only person in the gym, and that's why we are going good so far. As good as we are going, we can easily get on each other's nerves because of our temperament. And we both know that. Every time a guy, men communicate, I want you women to understand this. This is why men don't look men in the eye. This is why when, as a woman, you're telling men that you want their attention. So you're talking to a guy and he's hearing you, but you want him to watch you. We don't look at each other's eyes when we're talking. We listen. This is why you see husbands just do nothing, and as soon as a child is disrespectful in the house, the husband activates. Because we don't look, we just listen. And that's different. So every time two men actually have a conversation, there is a 20% probability that there can be a fight, especially if two of them are alphas. Only because we have language. We don't hit each other over the head. You understand? This life has a lot of in it that we don't know. And I'm going to do some forums just now where we can actually interact live, because I want to, because when we are talking live and you hear so many things come out of people's mouth, you can like almost every sentence comes out of someone's mouth, I will be able to tell them, yeah, but that is not exactly how it is. This is what you need to consider as well. Because we don't know what we don't know. I'm sitting down right here, and there's a desk in front of me here that you all can't see. And I have 4 books right here. I read every single morning. Some might say I have enough knowledge that I can just take it easy, but I am consistent. I don't like reading. But I want to make sure that whenever I open my mouth and say something, this is why I told people, don't say something. You're okay to have an opinion, but you don't have to open your mouth and say what your opinion is. That's not part of your it's just not. You can have an opinion, but it's not part of your privileges. People die for opening their mouth and talking stupidness. It's not your right. You can say what you want, but know that there are consequences when it comes out of your mouth. Just know that in this life there is always consequence. Guys, in the last 24 hours, I've had to block 3 people from following me. Yeah, it's exactly how we are trained. Good night. So in the last 3 people from following me because I posted, for instance, let me give you guys and show you guys how simple this is. I must say that there is a different motive for men to work out and look as you do, and I don't know what you mean by that. Opinions doesn't matter, my friend. They really don't matter. I would like you to expound and tell me how opinions matter. Go ahead, more than truth. I'm gonna pull you up on that statement. But moving along, Karen, I need a thanks, but I don't quite understand. But what I was talking about with the 3 people I deleted, I posted a video, and you must observe when I say nothing on some videos, right? Scapachi, be very careful. Earlier on, another guy made the kind of statements that you made there, and members frowned against it, and I give an example of that kind of behavior. So be careful. But I understand where you're coming from, brother. But back to what I was saying, because you see I'm distracted now because I have to look at what you're saying, right? You see, Danica, this is what I'm saying, because what he's doing is now distracting me and you by what you're saying now, and that's what we were talking about earlier on in the video. I don't know if you were on. That's not cool, you know? But with regards to what I was saying, why I blocked 3 people. Let me give you an example of one. Now, for any one of you who are on tonight and you get offended because you may be one of the people who think that, one of you to say that it's that easy, please, I'm not apologizing, but I mean nothing by it. I can't explain how many people follow me on a weekly basis. I suspect just now Facebook is going to tell me I can't add anymore. I'm waiting to see. I haven't checked to see how many people actually follow me right now, but like in every day, I get no less than 10 people following me on Facebook now, right? And I really try to understand. So what happens is, for instance, a guy messaged me and he says something about my tattoo on my back. Like, why? It's like a weird statement. You befriend a guy and ask him about the tattoo on his back. It's like, why you want to know about the tattoo on my back? You know? Okay. So I posted the video. Okay, Karen. So I posted the video. I get what you're saying now, Karen. Totally. And it's true. There are only about 3 guys in the gym that looks like as fit as I do, and we all have very similar personalities. So if you walk in the gym, you'll immediately gravitate to the 3 people or 4 people, and you see all of us actually talk, and you see how we give each other space, and when we are passing each other, how we pass and everything. You see it if you look at it and you study it. But maybe so, Kimberly, but that may be a feminine way of looking at it. It's not a masculine way or statement. Alright? That's just how men are. And for the other men on the chat, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. A man doesn't meet a guy and ask him, especially via social media, and ask him about his tattoo on his back. You know? And I try to rephrase the question, but it wasn't direct, like, what does the tattoo on your back signify? It wasn't like that, you know what I mean? It was almost like, a woman who have seen my tattoo on her back and asked the question. But nevertheless, what I'm saying is, there's this woman, and this is why we talk about spiritual chains again, right? And that's how it felt, Sipachi. It was weird. And again, I spoke about in the past about men, and the fact that we can pick up certain things. And the energy I felt when I read it, that's what I felt. And it was, no. So, I posted the video with a guy who was saying that, and I'm just wondering, I'm contemplating if to talk about this video because it's not so important to me. It's not in line with what I talk about. But this guy is saying that you can have sex with men but not be gay. Total nonsense. And I just posted this video. And I said, I put a clear statement saying, I'm posting this and I'm making a statement on it very early so that nobody who is hearing it for the first time will agree with it simply because it's new. And everybody who commented on it, I made sure and liked what they said so that they know what position I'm standing with. When they were saying he's crazy, whatever, I am thumbs up or giving it the heart because he damn well crazy. And I even responded on some of them supporting what they were saying. So there's this woman who I approved last night. Just come on Facebook, less than half an hour, in my message. And it's saying, the minute I see you, I know something was wrong with you. You're just like them idiot, and them you come and you posting this nonsense with this man, and Guys, she was blocked immediately. These are little signs, and listen. You may ask yourself, how does this signify spiritual change? But I'm telling you, this is how it signifies that. I can bet you guys any amount of money that that woman does not even have a man. Okay, Karen. I can bet you guys she is not married and doesn't have a man. I can bet you that. I'm not saying she's not having sex. I'm talking about a man holding her down. A boyfriend. Somebody she's dating. I can bet you that. Because that type of energy comes from somewhere. Something has fostered it. And something is harnessing it. For you to come onto a man's platform and in less than 30 minutes a male is deleting a female, it tells you something. And if I go into her story, I can show you this is generations. And I hope she doesn't have a child. And if she does, I can bet you on all this a girl. Because in the past, I spoke to you about how gender comes about. Because we just happen to think it pops out of somewhere. But that type of behavior and personality of a woman, you tend to get them making girl children. Because somehow we think that, well, it just happens and the X and the Y chromosomes, and I'm telling you, that's not what happens. Go and look at the wounded womb. Go and read that book, The Wounded Womb, and you will see what actually happens when gender comes about. Every sphere from what we eat. I posted a video with a guy who's 600 pounds, who's getting up and walking outside and sitting on the porch and the ice cream man. I was shocked to know that the ice cream man remembered his order. I counted 9 or 10 different things he ordered from, and he says, as soon as he finished eats it, he's hungry. And I'm looking at his mother speaking, and I'm saying, before I saw his mother, I said, I bet you she's not in shape. So said, so done. She's not in shape. You talk about generational curse and change. She's not in shape either. And she's talking about him and his eating and smiling. I would have loved to see who his father is. And I bet you 2 things. His father is dead or is not in that house with them. These are all spiritual chains that we have to look at. It happens and it damages us because we think it's one. It's not one. Some of us live with a whole number. And the video I posted that caused me to do this live tonight, and it was talking about Kurt Franklin, was talking about a guy meets a woman who can cook, who's great in bed, who does things to help him and whatever, and then when he meets a wife, he wants all. Sometimes a man does meet a woman who is capable of fulfilling all of those needs. And when he meets that, because those are the things he needs, great food, great sex, great support, a woman who is also submissive and rocks in the gym because she works out and keeps her body in shape, and she's filled those 5 voids, they generally aren't even able to identify that there's a problem between them because he's out there and so is she. And so when you see that relationship, it's a perfect fit and it works. But sometimes, even in my own experience, I remember being once engaged and I suffered with porn addiction. And there was a point in time I had over 400 porn. You understand? And I wanted her to be a porn star. I had an amazing woman engaged to, highly attractive and sexy, but I wanted her to be like what I was seeing there. And when I look back at that scenario, I was so deep in bondage. I was so deep in bondage. I can't explain. It was crazy. And I actually, when I look at some emails and some discussions we had back then, I cringe. You don't see how deep you are in it. It was really bad. I also had masturbation addiction, bondage, alcohol, bondage, obscene language in every 2 sentences. It was really bad. There were a lot of stuff I had to sort of pull myself away and heal and come back. And I know I've healed because when I look back and I look at how I used to write, the things I used to say, even now, sometimes I am putting sentences together and I say sentences construction the way I used to do before. And I have to correct it because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right. It's a lot, guys. And we have to go deep in it. It could be finance. It could be health. It could be the way we keep our homes. It could be our vehicle. The way we communicate. It can be a host of stuff that we have to really go into ourselves and find out and see if this is a problem. Not because we don't have an issue with something means that there is not a problem. We have to go in and we have to go and unlearn and relearn everything that we know. It's a lot. And so I hope we get it and we can understand and see the context. I'm talking to myself here as well because I had to do a lot in the last 24 hours. Before I came to actually have this conversation with you guys, I had to sit down and I can't tell someone something that I don't believe. If I'm telling you something, I know what I'm talking about and I believe it. It's a lot we have to really go in and really unpack. We are carrying on, especially women, too much baggage. And this is why women's kidneys are larger than men's, because they carry a lot of baggage and issues that they don't let go of. They hoard and it hurts. And this is why so many women, especially black women, are getting so many reproductive issues and fibroids and these things. Understand? How do we dig deep? So I'm thinking you're saying, how do you dig deep? Kimberly, the way to do that would be you need to pull back, do some nature walks. I'm telling you this, believe me. Do a chancellor, do a beach walk, do a walk alone. Just do it alone a couple times. And you'll see how you and go through your life, relationship segmented. Go through your life. Go through how you feel. Go through your hurt. And ask yourself why things has happened. You understand? There's a scripture that says we know not and get not because we ask not. We don't get things because we don't ask for it. Prayer without ceasing also says the same thing. Prayer without ceasing doesn't mean that we must just go blah, 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 and pray all the time. It just means that once we're continuing to seek, you will find. And so keep asking the questions about everything in your life and you'll see it's going to come out. There's some of us need to have a conversation with our fathers that we never had. And we have judged him and he left our mother, he left you and our mothers, and we don't know why, and he just simply couldn't stay. Some of us are 40. Our father made a mistake when he was 27, and we are now 40 years old, and 40 years after, or 35 years after, we are still holding our father accountable for the mistake he has made when he was 27, which we know is a little boy, immature, and we don't see that he didn't know better. And we can't forgive him because he left us. And so you're going to hold that till you're dead instead of have a conversation with your father and tell him how you feel and at least give him the chance to say, I did not know. Or you may even find out that your mother cheated on him. You might even find out that you and I have mischild. I'm telling you some serious stories of stuff I have seen happen. I'm telling you, so we have to do some stuff because we are carrying stuff around and we have no business carrying. And it's causing a journey, a cycle, because you're going to take that and put it on your children because they can't identify to who their grandfather was or his personality. There's strained relationships which they grow up and they get from you because that's the energy you give them when they've grown up. And it continues. We have a lot of work to do to break the cycle in everything. All right? So let me know what you want to hear next. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm going to post this video during the day tomorrow. I'm just going to do some editing at the beginning. And I'm going to post it on YouTube and on Facebook. Okay? So like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let me know how you feel. Tell me what you want to hear next. And please don't forget to share it. All right? Bye for now. We'll talk soon.